All right, y'all. What is good? What is good? We are here uh, with Wake Up Liberia. Y'all know how we do with Wake Up Liberia, y'all. We are here. Me, DJ Go Getter, with Reverend Torley Crua. We will be talking about sustainable development, visa waiver for self reliance, and that is going to be the topic for tonight. So I hope you all really tune in because it is time to
Wake up
Wake
to
up.
reality.
wake up, y'all. What is up, Reverend Torley? How are you tonight? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm doing just fine. Thank you for having me tonight.
That is good. So now the topic tonight is sustainable development. That's a heavy, heavy statement. And I know you are ready to elaborate on sustainable development and how we're going to tie that in to the visa, not the visa, the visa waiver program and the movement that is going on right now in Liberia. Um, Go ahead and give us a little insight on sustainable development.
So, sustainable development is the type of development that happens in a community or in a country that can be sustained over time. And in African nations, people have been told that in order to have sustainable development, what you need is foreign investors, foreign expertise, foreign loans, etc. And people campaign on this promise that once I'm elected, I'm going to bring foreign investors, I'm going to bring foreign loans, foreign expertise to the country. It has been going on for a very long time all across African nations. And what has happened is that there are people who are interested in exploiting the resources, the natural resources of the country, cutting the logs, digging the diamond, gold, etc. And they are welcome to come in a system where it is like the system we have in Liberia, where the legislature, the lawmakers, are elected by the people, but they're elected through a system of election laws. The lawmakers are the only ones who make election laws in the country. And they make the election laws in such a way that it is rigged to benefit people who have money. For example, today they have the election laws call for people to pay $500, $400 to register their name to run for office. In addition to paying $400 to run, they have to pay additional 5,000 US dollars in their bank account and another 10,000 US dollar bond. So the financial requirements is far above the reach of the people. That has put the ballot measures out of the hands, out of the reach of citizens. As a result, only very, very wealthy people can run for office in Liberia. The very wealthy people become the lawmakers, and whenever they make the law, they make it to suit them. There is no way for citizens to have their voice. And so, as a result, companies come and companies go and take the resources. It doesn't benefit the citizen, it doesn't benefit the country. So, in order to have sustainable development, we have to look at the people themselves. These people are human beings made in the image of God. They come as potential scientists, potential inventors, potential engineers, but they need access to quality education. They need access to opportunities. And that is where the visa waiver thing comes in, so that the country is going to be developed by the people. Sustainable development will not be what you look forward to foreigners to do, but rather is a development of the people, by the people themselves, and for the people. And the government also needs to be reformed so that we have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, without regards to how much money you have in the bank.
And we've talked about this because I've seen some of the candidates, especially you had a lot going on in Lofa County where they were transporting paid transportation for people to register. And I think the mindset of what I've been just observing, and I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I'm not there every day, but it seems like the more money that candidate has and the clout that they have is what people tend to vote for. I don't think that people are really aware of what development is. Because to me, development in the country is just having money. It's not it's not looked at the longevity of the process of sustainable development. If you have money, then that's it. That's all you need is money. Also, another question I have, just observing with Africa, and this is for all African countries, with the amount of resources that are in the countries, why won't the government just empower the people and and assist them with turning those resources into businesses and keeping the money into the country? It would make sense to me.
The government cannot and has not, they have not been able to do this because it's not a government of the people. In order to have a government of the people, one of the requirements is to empower the citizens. What's the purpose of government? It's the obligation of government to provide security, justice, and equal opportunities. But in a situation where you have the government to be elected because they have money, either because they are serving as salesmen for foreign companies, then all they do is to get in power and allow these foreign companies to come and exploit the place so that they get a little bit of money in their pocket. But that money does not go to the citizens. And so, what we need, for example, is the United States government and all Western countries that support elections in African nations are to blame for this because they have these companies. These companies are coming from the West and sometimes from the East. And when they just sponsor elections, for example, where where there is no provision for citizens to be elected without having a lot of money. Number one, those laws cannot be changed by the citizens because there is no ballot initiative in these countries. Number two, and then number three, not only do you have no ballot initiative, the ballot does not have provision for write-in candidates. We have these provisions here in the United States. For example, in Boston, every ballot has Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and the right-wing candidate option so that the citizen is the one that has the power. But when you take away the power from the citizens, then the government you have is not of the people, is not by the people, it's no longer for the people. And so right now we are going to bring this to the attention of the members of Congress here in the United States. They have spent almost $165 million of taxpayers' money to fund elections, but they're not funding democracy. And we want to bring it to their attention. Before ballots are printed, make a provision for citizens to have a write-in initiative.
But that's the thing. I'm seeing, especially South Africa. You have China. You have this new formation um, that is going on right now overseas, where the U.S. dollar is being blocked out now. With they're looking towards the little dollar now. African countries to me don't want democracy. I've heard it too many times. They just don't want democracy. Do you think that is fear of just change, fear of them having to be responsible and having to step up and do the things that they are supposed to do. There's so many. There's what I don't understand is when it comes to the economics of it, there's so many jobs that can be created in Liberia just based off the U.S. model. You have the Department of Transportation, you have the sanitation department, the police force. There's no reason you should go to a country and be told that okay, well, we don't have enough police to do anything about this. Like that is a big concern, but I also look at it as economically that would create jobs if they did follow some of the model that we have here with, just setting up to make the country run smoother. Why don't they want that?
They don't have that. It's not that they don't want it. They don't have that because because of the colonial system. When the colonial powers control African nations, they did it for their own self. They did not invest in education. They did not invest in infrastructure. For example, the King of England is a war criminal. And I'm ashamed that Lionel Richie went to sing for this man who, for 1,000 years, his family believed that they are better than other human beings,
I was
and they
shocked too. I was
they
shocked.
they went forever and ever. They enriched themselves from slavery and colonization. But even during World War II, after Hitler was defeated in World War II, those countries still maintained their control of their colony by force. They did not come to their senses to say, well, let's give them independence. And then Ghana in 1957 became the first African nation to be granted independence. But independence does not mitigate 100 years of colonization because 100
I'm
years of
sorry, the rooster going crazy. Yeah, the rooster going.
100 years of colonization took away the wealth of the country. The crown of King Charles is a crown of robbery, for example.
It's a
He,
blood crown. It's a blood.
he
So much blood has been shed.
and he's been celebrated by all these countries using taxpayers' money when this country, United States, fought the British to be free on
Mm.
the premise that all men are created equal. And so after the people fought in Kenya and other places, people fought for their independence, and they give them political independence, but they still control the economy. And the way to control that is through business and these loans. They will tell them, now you have to give us loan. We have to give you loan rather. They give loan of their own money that was stolen, and you have to pay it back with interest. It doesn't make sense. And so, what is needed today is not just plain and simple elections. What is needed is participatory democracy, where the constitutions have to be rewritten so that it gives power to the people. The current constitution of Liberia is the will and pleasure of the president, of the presidency. That's what it is. And and the legislature make all of the law. There's no ballot initiative. And so the once you elect them, they become the masters. They're in power for 9 years. In Massachusetts, and even in Congress, members of Congress they're in power for 2 years. These people are in power for 9 years, and there's no record. You cannot record them no matter what they do. And so, what is really needed is for these countries, the Western countries that are funding elections, to support participatory democracy, so that the people will be able to change the laws, so that the people will be able to elect people whether they have money or not, so that the people will be able to have a right-in candidate option on every ballot that we, the citizens of the United States, pay for. Because if we don't pay for that, they don't have it. And so we should not be in that position. We are going to present it to the members of Congress that they are incentivizing racialistic killings, corruption, and all of these ills of society.
So the ritualistic killings, and I know that is very big during election time. What causes that? Like, why is that something that's necessary in the country? What does that benefit? Is that, people crying out saying, "Hey, we don't want this." Like, I think there's a lot of things that goes on in Africa that is seen and not explained, to understand why it happens. And, why do you feel strongly that having the visa waiver for the country, will give self reliance? Do you think the people of Liberia really want self reliance, or are they comfortable with how things are now?
Yes, they are not comfortable with the way things are, but they live in fear and there are no options available to them. And that is why we have done a survey, and that's why I wanted to show on the screen. We've done a survey. What do the people want in Liberia? Do they just want elections of the same government officials? No. But this country, Liberia, is still under colonization. Liberia is not a sovereign nation at all. Liberia is still under American colonization. The ambassador just stated that Liberia has been corrupt for 200 years. And he rightly stated Liberia has been a corrupt country for 200 years. What he didn't say was that the corruption was designed in the United States of America by President James Monroe, who was a slave holder. He designed that, and that's why his name, the name of a slave holder, is on the capital city of a quote and unquote independent African country. If Liberia was independent, we would have a new birth of a new nation with new constitution, with new rules, with new names that value human beings. We would even have people like Frederick Douglass, you know, people who fought for slavery to end. But what do we have in Liberia? We have James Monroe. He created Liberia. And for the first 20 years of Liberia, it was ruled by white people. And then when Liberia became independent, they passed a law that only Americans will be citizens of Liberia. So for over 100 years, indigenous Africans could not become citizens of Liberia at all. Liberia was designed and created to serve the domestic and foreign policy agenda of the United States of America. That needs to change.
Why do you think America won't step in?
Step in to correct the ills.
Because we can sit here and say, okay, politically, yes, the leaders need to take charge of their country. It has to be something, uh, between the two that keeps the leverage of this going. Why do you think even now that the U.S. really hasn't stepped in and said, okay, we're going to help you develop? We're running out of allies on this side. To be honest with you, with
Mhm.
this new formation going on, it's gonna cut the U.S. economically. We here depend on so many other countries for their resources.
Yes,
So that's going to be a big change here, uh, because it looks like, once the value of our dollar goes down, um, the value of every country's dollars should go up because now they're investing in their own currency.
yes.
So there's a lot of changes going on, but I just really feel like, Africa could do so much better. When I'm there, I feel like, I'm in an all black country, y'all. And I personally want to say this, and I don't mean no harm. I feel like I'm in an all black country, and when I look around and I see the condition of how it's in, it's heartbreaking because this is what they expect us to do with our power. And we're proving them right. We're proving them right. You know what I mean? That country is a beautiful country. You know what I mean? They could just make money in the country off tourism. So education is one thing, but I think people have to really want it And I know that there are some that won't change, and some have lived their life and just become comfortable with how things are, whether they elevate or not. It's a big loss of hope to me.
Well, the thing is that we as Americans need to step up. I mean, we cannot sit and let our government, like for example, the United Kingdom today is sending sophisticated missiles to Ukraine. They have never apologized for slavery and colonization. They kill millions of people in India and around the world, and they have never apologized at all. Now, if you have not apologized for your own sins and your own slavery and your own brutality, you're going to give money. If they have, then they need to mitigate the harm by paying reparations for colonization, paying reparations for slavery, etc. The United States is spending billions of dollars in Ukraine. There has been no communication whatsoever with Native Americans. Pine Ridge Indian Reservation is the poorest district in the United States of
It
America.
is.
And
And the
the president,
biggest that suffer from substance abuse, domestic violence, mental health issues that go unaddressed, um, because of the economic oppression.
yes, and the president has not taken a trip to that place, to Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, to visit American colonization. He has not taken a trip to Liberia at this point in Liberia to mitigate American colonization, which is still going on. But he's sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, and nobody is protesting this. Everybody say, "Oh well," and those monies will be paid by us and our children and great grandchildren. And so I think the thing is up to us now. We have to step up as Americans and demand that we want to see change in the way the government works, not just funding elections, but funding democracy, participatory democracy, having options for citizen write-in candidates, having ballot initiatives. Whether people want that or not, a lot of times people don't even know about it. And this is why we're having this education to tell people what real democracy looks like. It's not election. And when the ambassador says Liberia is corrupt for 200 years, he also should talk about what happens at the United States embassy. They wrote a letter to the embassy staff telling them to hold on to the visa and not grant visas to Liberians who are black, but grant visas to um, Lebanese. And they take the money. They make millions of dollars every year denying people visa after taking the fees from them. That is corruption to the core.
Yes, it is.
Who's going to talk about that?
Yes, they need to. I'm a witness of it. Just going through the process myself, and COVID, I think, kind of just gave them another excuse to use to just hold people up. And that's why I said I was just doing the research, and it's like Liberia is technically not blacklisted, but they are treated like they're blacklisted. What would it take to make some noise and to get people to actually, look at the visa waiver situation, and for the government to take it serious, to see the necessity of that and push for it?
Well, the government will never push for it because all of the top officials of government have United States passports and they have American permanent residency, which is a green card, and so they don't see the need for doing that because they're going to create competition, and
Mm.
so they're satisfied with the status quo because they don't go to the embassy for visa. But it's going to take the people, and the approach we're taking right now is to go to the places of worship. We are going to every place of worship because human beings are made in the image of God. We're going to places of worship to create awareness within the places of worship for equity, for justice, for security. And from the places of worship, we are going to the educational institutions, to high schools, to middle schools, to colleges and universities in Liberia to present this information to them. And above that, we are also going to go to clubs and unions These people who are going to benefit need to step up. And we want to do it around the date of independence, which is July 26th. Independence is not independent if you are dependent on somebody else. And
Mhm.
so we are going to have this, and we're asking people to make donations because we have to bring this message to the people in their languages and to bring it on the radio and on television, etc. We have to bring the brochures, and that's how we're going to do it. But I can tell you from the survey that we've done in all of the counties, the people are ready for change.
Yeah.
They are ready
That's
for change,
good.
and they are going to be able to step up to reach out and go to the embassy to ask. The Bible says you have not because you ask not. Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. And that's precisely what we're going to do. Change is coming to Liberia, and it's going to come through the visa waiver because you cannot have a country of two-tier citizenship where you have first-class citizens and second-class citizens. Right now, all of the Liberians that don't have access to the United States are second-class citizens. They don't have access to employment. They don't have access to quality education. They don't have access to businesses. But there is another side of Liberian society that have access to all of these things.
Mhm.
According to Article 1, according first to the American Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal. And according to Article 1 of the 1824 Constitution of Liberia, which was approved in Washington, D.C. by four presidents, President James Madison, Andrew Jackson, Thomas Jefferson, and James Monroe, all persons born in Liberia are entitled to all privileges enjoyed by citizens of the United States because Liberia was created by the United States of America through a law passed by Congress. And it was not the American Colonization Society that created Liberia because the American Colonization Society was not even registered or incorporated until 1831,
Mhm.
almost a decade after Liberia was founded. And so America has to stop lying about who founded Liberia, why Liberia was founded, and we have to hold their feet to the fire. If they want to fight Russian colonization in Ukraine, charity begins at home. They have to start at Palm Ridge Indian Reservation. They have to start with Liberia, and then we'll be able to move forward because united we stand, divided we fall.
Yep. And I agree. And America owns land in Liberia still to this day. Um, what are you gonna do with it? You just have it to have it. As far as the Ukraine situation, I definitely think we're funding that war because Ukraine holds a lot of secrets when it comes to the United States and some of the dirty things that we've, done. But I never could understand why other countries had to have passports or visas or apply to come here, but we can go wherever we want to. And they make the small money off of us getting our visas just to come, into the country. I never understood that. And I think there's a lot of, Americans that really don't understand it because they haven't experienced it. They've never been outside of the United States, and then some people just don't care to know why. And I've always been curious about that.
Yes, a lot of people don't know. I mean, we have people in Massachusetts who have never been to Boston.
Mhm.
They're right where they are because there's a Walmart, there's a Stop and Shop. Everything they need is right around them, so they don't need to go to Boston to see anything, Freedom Trail, whatsoever that may be. But we live in an interconnected world. What happens in one place affects people in other places.
Mhm.
We need now to think very seriously about people that have been harmed. A woman in Liberia, her daughter was in the United States military, and the daughter passed away. She wanted to come for the funeral for closure. She's been to this country four times. She went to the embassy, they took her money and refused the visa and made her to come again a second time for to pay the money again, and they refused the visa. Her child was in the military. She could not come. Up till today, she has not been able to come. That is a disgrace to the United States of America.
It
And
is.
with a lot of people in Liberia.
You have a lot of people at this point that have been waiting for interview letters since 2020, 2019. And I think that is, you know, a disgrace
And
to put people's lives on hold. I have spoken with spouses that have been trying to get their other spouses out of the countries. People have passed away waiting on interview letters and just the process. I think as a whole with immigration needs to be revamped. It is not designed to, for people to be successful with it. It is another form of racketeering money to me. And even with the attorneys here on this side, I feel they're taking advantage of a lot of people. And I've experienced that personally. I know me and another colleague, um, we are offering immigration services to clients that really just don't understand the paperwork, understand the process. And everybody does stuff to make money. Yes, we know we need money, but at the same time we're not taking advantage of people, and we are trying to help find some grant funding to help with some of these processing fees, to get people across that finish line. But even when you get across the finish line, it's still, it causes a lot of mental health issues the way immigration is set up.
mhm, it is. It is. I mean, really, I think that we need to work on trying to mitigate the harm that we've gone on for many, many, many years. And what we are doing right now, trying to mobilize people in the places of worship, mobilize people across this country. We're going to be going from one state to another to promote the idea of the visa waiver for Liberians, so that people know what it is and how they can get involved. Because it's not just going to be people in Liberia; it has to be people on both sides of the Atlantic working on this thing.
Do you feel that the Liberians here, the Liberian communities here in the United States are concerned? Or do you feel as if, you know, they think, well, I'm not there anymore. I'm here now. It's not a concern. Um, Not even for the loved ones that are kind of left behind in the country. What are they doing when it comes to this movement? There's a lot of local organizations, um, and I know they do still have some political backings, even from here in the United States and Liberia. What do you feel the mindset is of the people here?
Well, the mindset of the people here is just the mindset of humans in general, how people behave from time to time. And they are safe and secure. They mind their business and focus on themselves. That's the way it is. Man. The Bible says the heart of man is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. And so people are focused. Even the green card bill, the green card bill that was fought for, a lot of times people who needed a bill could not participate, or people who already had status could not participate. And so with this one, what we want to try to do is to just go and appeal to them again, because we can't give up on the people. We have to go and bring the information. That's why we're printing the document so that people can be able to read for themselves. And again, we can visit and go to them, because one of the things, most of the Liberians in the diaspora are interested in holding political positions in Liberia, a lot of them. And they say, well, let the people not come here, let them just remain there. We will go there and rule over them. But, it's not about going to rule over anybody. We need to have a situation whereby there is equal opportunities for all. And I think that we can achieve that if we work on both sides of the Atlantic. And so we are going to reach out to people here to get involved and to get their members, their elected officials involved as well.
For the Liberians here in the U.S., are they still able to vote in
They,
Liberia?
they are not allowed to vote unless they go there and register. So there are many people who are not voting. And the government does not really want people in the diaspora to vote because most of the time, diaspora people are more vocal in criticism of the government.
Hmm. Okay. If you had to take a segment of from your program
Mhm,
and you had to mesh it up in like 10 minutes,
mhm.
what key point would you want to make tonight to just drop in the mindset of people when it comes to how important this is?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that all things are possible. One of the biggest obstacles we've had in communicating is that people say, oh, these are white people, they hate black people, they're not going to let us go there for free, even though we love this country, but they're not going to let us go because they're going to say no. Well, the answer to that is Pharaoh in Egypt. Pharaoh, when Moses said, let my people go, didn't say, yes, let them go. He said, no, these people are working for me. They're my slaves. They have to be here. And
Hmm.
miracles and upon miracles, more than one miracle happened in Egypt before Pharaoh could say, let my people go. And so it's the same thing. The first thing people have to believe all things are possible. And this particular thing is not just possible, it's legal and we have precedents. There are other countries that are benefiting. We're the only country in the world that was created by the United States government. I didn't even know that because it was done in secrecy. It was Representative Benjamin Swan who said that Liberia was the first colony of the United States. And then we did the research and we found out that American colonization was nowhere around. It was the United States Navy. And then we look at the copy of the deed and we see it was the United States Navy that created this place. So the first thing is all things are possible. The second thing that we want people to know is that you reap what you sow. And so everyone who becomes a member of the Free Liberia movement, we are calling on them to take seed, take soil, and sow a seed. Sow seeds. Right now we have seed, we've already sown our seeds here. And some of the people in Liberia have sown seeds, but some of them have not sown seeds. I would say, we already know you reap what you sow, so why do we have to sow a seed? You have to sow because until you sow seed, you don't really experience what it means because it is a miracle. It is a miracle to take dirt, put it on the ground, cover it with the soil, and after a few days, it germinates and starts to grow. We've seen it right here. So we are calling on people to sow the seed themselves. And then the third thing is we want people to read the articles. Most people don't know that James Monroe was a slave master. Most people don't know there was a law created in the United States that brought Liberia to birth. People don't know that. We want people to read the articles. And after reading the articles, we want people to also comment. So we have a platform on WhatsApp that we post these articles, read the article, and tell us what you think. For 200 years, the United States has been saying, oh, Liberia was spent about free slaves. James Monroe freed the slaves. That was a lie. Now you know. What can you say to that? People need to express themselves, read and then express themselves. And then we want people to tell other people. We want people to tell other people what they've learned. So you believe all things are possible. You sow seeds, you read articles, and then you write comments about it, and then you tell other people. If you're in a church, tell people in the church. If you're in a community, tell people in the community. So you want to just stop there. Those are the steps that we have for creating awareness. And we want this awareness to be created because we don't have this measure today because we never asked for it. Now that we have asked, we're going to ask again. Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open. So on the Independence Day, for people who are not even independent, we are calling on them to come out to number to the mama to the embassy to ask for the answer to the petition that we've already presented.
So this rally is going to take place at the embassy in Liberia. Give us some information. What's to be expected about that. Um, and I'm going to assume and know that it will be a peaceful situation. And why hasn't the church stepped up and gotten involved in the first place in the country?
because the churches have been uh, taught that the issue of justice is politics, and God has nothing to do with politics.
Of
These
the separation of church and state mindset.
it's not even separation of church and state. These churches were established during the colonial rule, and like I said, Liberia is still under colonial colony of the United States. But
Mhm.
like during the Democratic Republic of Congo, when it was under Belgian colonization, there were still missionaries going to this place, and they see the atrocities, but they won't make a comment and say, "All you have to do is just go to heaven. Just wait until you get to heaven."
Mm.
Any purpose here on earth? If God wanted you to be born in heaven, He didn't have to send you to earth first before, to suffer before going to heaven. And so it's colonial gospel, the interpretation of the fact that people are saying this is politics. Justice is politics. Social justice is politics. That's one of the reasons why that this has not permeated the churches. But now we are preparing a special handout for churches that has Bible verses in it for them to see. For example, on the judgment day in Matthew 25, the Bible says that God is not going to tell you how many degrees do you have in theology, or how many sermons did you listen to, or how many times you pray. The question is, I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was a stranger and you visited me. I was in prison. Those are the things that will count during the judgment. And so we put the Bible verses in these things, we bring it to people in the church, and with that perspective, they can look at it and be able to make a decision.
Hmm.
Now they know that what they thought is not true. That justice, God is a just God, and that righteousness exalts a nation.
Now, I wouldn't go touch bases on it, but the article that is floating around about Jefferson Cucci with all the guns that
Mhm.
they seized and found. Um, I definitely am afraid that something is brewing beneath the surface. It concerns me big time. Um, I think that was, kind of a shock to the people as well. How did you feel seeing that as
Well,
as a Liberian, even though you're here?
mhm.
How did you feel seeing, something like that in this day and time in the country?
Well, I have not seen that myself. For a couple of time I've been off the grid, so I've not been able to see that myself. But I have a photocopy of a newspaper by the Observer that has a 13-year-old girl in a suitcase. And to me, that spells out everything on the
Mhm.
violence in the place and the impunity. People can feel that they can get away with murder in the place. And so, what I think is that all of us, need to impress upon leaders here in the United States as well that we should support democracy again. We should support democracy because when you support democracy and the rule of law, you will not have impunity. You will not have people doing murder, etc. And people will be held accountable when the United States has mass shooting all the time, and
Mhm.
people are accountable. The laws need to be changed. It's been difficult to change the laws over here. We need reform here in the United States as well. But in the case of Liberia, this one I would say is that we need democracy, we need accountability, and we need the system to be reformed to the point where the citizens are the masters and politicians are public servants. Currently, it is not the case.
And
And
that is how it's supposed to be here. But I think what what our problem is here, we don't understand the purposes of the three judicial systems. A lot of the primary elections, a lot of people don't participate, um, which I don't see too many primary elections going on in the country. But at the same time, that's how we end up with, the presidential candidates, because if you don't go to the primary elections, you don't get the right people in those seats in Congress.
Yeah,
And that is what has hurt us here. That is where I see democracy has kind of failed with educating us, because they don't want us to, it's like they don't keep us from doing it, but at the same time, they don't educate us enough for us to be smart when we go to the polls. Um, it's a catch 22, Rev. I really think it's a catch 22 when it comes to a lot of things, when it comes to the country. But I definitely would love to see uh, Liberia in another light. Just going there, visiting myself. I think it's so much beauty in that country. There's so much peace in that country, and the people want to thrive, they want to work, they want to have businesses. But what they don't understand, foreign policy and foreign trade and foreign investors is going to knock people that look like us out of the box anyway of having access to anything. Um, I don't know. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some real soldiers and some work.
we have to do the work. We have to do the work. It has to start from somewhere. We when we came up with this visa waiver thing, people were like, "How did you even think about that?" Well, we have to think about that because we see the inequity. All diaspora Liberians have dual citizenship. All of us have dual citizenship. We have created opportunities for ourselves, but that gives us the
Wait, you said Liberians have most of the Liberians have dual citizenship?
yes.
How so?
There was a law passed by the legislature for dual citizenship so that if you're a Liberian, you become an American citizen, you can go and get a Liberian passport and participate in Liberian elections and everything else. So that citizenship
Wow.
Liberia and citizenship in the United States of America. So we are privileged. We have opportunities that our colleagues and our countrymen don't have. So to him that much is given, much shall be required. It's us that have this thing that should fight for the other people because the inequality is going to result in injustice, and the injustice is going to result in chaos. And no matter how successful we are, like Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So we really cannot enjoy our dual citizenship until we ensure that our brothers and sisters over there, consistent with the laws of the United States and Liberia, are given an opportunity to also have access to education in the United States, employment in the United States, and business opportunities in the United States without visa restriction, just as we have those privileges right now.
Now that is definitely a fun fact tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I did not know that. I want to say it right. Once you're naturalized, if you come from Liberia and you're naturalized here, you have the opportunity and the privilege to have dual citizenship. Now, as an American married to a Liberian, I can't have dual citizenship because if I own a business here, that disqualifies me for dual citizenship.
If you own a business here,
If I own a business here, I cannot apply for dual citizenship in another country as an American.
oh wow, I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me. Thanks for that.
Because and I researched that because I do own a business here.
Hmm.
And I did, just going through the immigration process, I'm like, okay, I don't want to keep having to pay to get $160 visa every time I want to go, which only lasts me 1 year. I can only apply for that as an American from the Liberian embassy. There's no other option for me. I have to pay $160 for my visa
Hmm.
um, for a multiple entry. So I said, well, maybe if I apply for dual citizenship, that would be kind of economically better for me to go back and forth. And I'm trying to invest in a country. They're like, nope, you have a business. So you either give up your business, you could apply for dual citizenship, which didn't make sense. And now you're telling me the Liberians have access to that. So imagine what we don't know.
I know, I know.
Imagine what we don't know. So now it makes perfect sense why getting involved and, going through the training process with you again. And I want you to give that website and that WhatsApp group link, please, before the night is out, give that to me so I can definitely share it. Um,
Yeah.
Imagine what we don't know. Everybody, listen, it is time to wake
Wake
up.
up to reality.
Wake up to
Wake
reality,
up to
y'all.
reality.
It is
Wake up.
so much out here that, if we come together, we can accomplish. And, you're right. It starts with home first. It
Yes.
starts with home first. So before we leave tonight, and I know you do have some special guests that possibly might join us. Can you tell us a little bit about your special guest that you want to bring on
Yes.
and leave us with, some food for thought tonight?
Okay. So the guest that I'm going to bring on next week will be Tiawan Gongo. So my organization is Universal Human Rights, and our goal for helping refugees is people come to this country, get education, and then return to where they came from to help to make the world a better place. So it's not just a one-way dead end. Come here and let's live and die in the United States, as most refugee resettlement organizations do.
Hmm.
And these are people who have benefited from the program that I started with the Universal Human Rights. Dr. Samuel Kwan is one of those people. He came here uh, as an immigrant and got through the asylum system, and he was able to go to school, go to college, got a degree in nursing, and now he got his doctorate degree in nursing. And Tiawan Gongo, he came here, also went to Harvard. He's an attorney, and then he went back to Liberia. He's running for president. So Sam,
Wait, he's running for president in
president of Liberia,
Liberia
yes,
in this election?
in this election, yes.
What's his name again?
His name is Tiawan Gonglo, Tiawan, Tiawan Gonglo, Gongloe.
And he'll be joining us next week.
He will be joining us next week, yes.
Y'all, we got a presidential candidate joining us next week.
Yeah.
Wait, that deserves a rooster.
That's a wake up rooster there.
That's the wake up rooster there, baby. Yes, yes, that is definitely great. I cannot wait because I know that's going to give us a bigger insight on uh, what it is and what it's going to take from a presidential candidate's perspective
Yes.
to push the country where it needs to be. This is a neutral platform, I do want to say. So, anybody that's available and would like to come on and let's get the conversation going. Everything starts with a conversation. Let's get the conversation going. And, definitely, I being tied to the music industry, there's a lot of artists over there, a lot of young youth, that look to America for a lot of different things,
Mhm.
but I really would love for them to look to their country for the beauty, because there are so many beautiful things in Liberia. I enjoy myself when I go, and it is like a second home to me, and I want to see it develop, and I want to invest in the country, and I want to be able to bring people to trust to invest in the country. I always would say, imagine if everybody just packed up that looked like us and went back to these countries with what we know and what we have.
Hmm.
That would be a something
Well,
to see.
revolutionary. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, y'all. We will be back next week with our two special guests stopping by. Hopefully, they'll have time to come on and just share some of their views and the direction that they would love to um, take the country towards a better place. And it's always a pleasure, Reverend Trolley. I learn something every time I talk to you. Thank you so much just for all that you do. And we will definitely be corresponding when it comes to immigration and trying to figure out how and what we can do to kind of push some of the reform for this country. And hopefully it'll lead to other African countries.
Yes.
And that's what I want to see, because there's a thirst for knowledge and elevation, and somebody needs to do something. So maybe it'll be us to answer that higher call. Who knows? You
Well,
never know, y'all.
and next time I hope you play my the wake up from the kids in Ghana.
Yes, I got it, and I'm gonna download it. I'm gonna make sure I have it ready next week.
Yes.
That is the funniest video I have seen, but it is so cute. The kids making the animal sounds. It is so much talent, and just it is so much in that country, and I pray for it daily, But we'll get there, one brick, one bridge at a time, y'all. Y'all know what it is. This is DJ Go Getter, Reverend Torley. We are here next week. We will be back with Wake Up Liberia. We'll have some more information, insight, and definitely conversation that will spark your brain, y'all. You get knowledge on this platform. Reverend Torley,
Thank you.
have a good night, and I'll be in touch with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you have it, y'all. Wake up, Liberia. Y'all know what time it is. But before I go, I have to do this because I'm going to give the Rooster of the Day award to Jefferson Coochie. I probably said his name wrong. It might not be Coachy. It's Coachy, not Coochie. I'm country, and hey, it is. But you get the Rooster of the Day. Jefferson, you know damn well not to have all them guns in your possession. You ain't learned nothing from T.I. Come on, man. You got to do something better for yourself. Jefferson, get rid of the guns, man. We don't need all that. You know what I'm saying? So definitely you get the Rooster of the Day. But anyway, y'all, it was good vibing out with y'all. Thank you for hanging out, rocking out with me. No doubt we'll be back next week with our presidential candidate. Hey, elevate, baby. Let's go. Wake up, Liberia. The girl is out.